What's up guys, welcome to my channel, The Drawn Out Build. Today I'm going to show you how to build this modern kids bookshelf here. We have been needing a space to put these kids' books for a while now. They are either on the floor in the playroom or on top of this little basket carrier thing that it just doesn't look right. So now we have this new bookshelf. It's fully adjustable, looks great, and all the kids' books are now on it instead of all over the floor. So the drawn out build is called the drawn out build because sometimes these projects get drawn out longer than they need to be. But that's the case when we're all busy and we don't have time to just sit down and build something when we're not full-time woodworkers or something like that. So it may take 3 weeks to build something that should take just a few hours because we have 15 minutes here, 45 minutes there. And you know, you'll often see me in different outfits because I do these projects when I can. This one probably took me a week. It really wouldn't have taken that long, maybe 4 hours if I had just, you know, been able to do it, but I don't have that much time to be able to do it. So much like many of you, these builds will get drawn out over time, but as I do these builds, I'll take you along with me. So let's get started. So the first thing that I did was just clean up the space a little bit, and then I measured from the wall to where the window is, and that was about 4 feet. You can obviously customize this to whatever you want, but ours was about 4 feet wide by 32 inches high with the legs and 12 inches deep. After this, I went to Home Depot to check out what they had as far as plywood selection. You can definitely get some better plywood, but for what we're doing here, Home Depot has some pretty good stuff that works well. So this is what my Home Depot has. They have 3/4 inch red oak plywood, and that is $65 a sheet. They have birch plywood at $65, the same thing here. And then they just have another, this is the last 3/4 inch plywood they have, which is a 3/4 inch sanded plywood. And this is probably the lowest quality one, but with the wood prices being all crazy the way that they are, that's 65 bucks, the other one's 65, and this is 64.88. So you're not saving that much. If I were you and they were similar prices, I would go for the birch plywood, which tends to be a pretty good product. And Home Depot carries the Columbia Forest Products birch, which is pretty good. Actually, I take that back. They do have a maple that is 67 bucks, and this is not bad as well. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take one of these sheets over and have them cut it, and cut it right down the middle. So the only reason that I had it cut was so that it was easier to get into my SUV, but you can take the whole piece if that's easier for you or if you have a truck. So this is a very, very easy build that should take less than the full sheet of plywood. The first thing I did was measure for the top and bottom of the bookshelf, which needs to be 11 inches by 48 inches for the top and 11 inches by 46.5 inches on the bottom. This is to account for the fact that the top will be sitting on top of the sides and the bottom will be sitting between these two sides to make it stronger on the bottom. So with this one piece of 11-inch cut, which is 96 inches, I can get both the top and the bottom out of it. So this part really shouldn't take that long, but cutting the plywood and making it straight is the most important part of this project. I'm using a track saw here, but if you don't have a track saw, you can definitely use a table saw or a circular saw to get the same job done. For now, I'm not going to cut the shelves out, so I just cut the sides, middle, and the top and bottom. Once I finished that, I got my sander out with 180 grit and then just knocked everything down on all sides. Depending on the plywood that you use, one side might be better than the other, so make sure that you mark the side that's the best so you can use that for the top of the top or the top of the bottom. Next, I got my trusty pocket hole jig from Kreg out. Mine needs a little TLC, and then just added the pocket holes where I needed them. I'm going to be doing another video where I don't use pocket hole joinery on a bookshelf, but if you don't have the tools, this is an easy, quick way to do it. I made a little mistake here, but easy to fix. Anyone who's ever used a Kreg Jig knows that you really got to be careful about which side you're putting your board or whatever you're making your holes in, where you're putting it. This is the side that we want on the outside of the bookshelf, so one of the sides. And this is what I put the wood filler on, so when you paint it, it'll be nice and smooth. And accidentally put on the wrong side and put these pocket holes on the outside here. So because we're painting it, it's not going to be a big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and fill these holes up with with the dowel, flush cut it, and then when we paint it, it'll look fine. But it's the reason why you need to pay attention when you're doing these things. So I went ahead and just flipped it to the other side, added the holes on both sides, and we're just gonna go ahead and fix this right now. So to fix this, all you need is a flush cut saw, this little scraper, but you don't really have to have this, wood filler, and then some wood glue. Then you'll take a 3/8 inch dowel, which fits perfectly into the Kreg Jig pocket holes. Put some glue in the holes before you put the dowel in. Then you go ahead and flush cut that, fill it with wood filler or wood glue and sawdust, and you're good to go. As long as you're painting it, it'll be hidden just fine. Next up is edge banding. Edge banding is essentially putting a thin strip of wood or a veneer to cover the plywood edges, because unless it's an artistic choice, no one wants to see those plywood layers. I like to use maple edge banding, which you can buy in rolls at Home Depot, Lowe's, or any hardwood store. You can find bigger rolls of this at a specialty shop, like a hardwood shop. It's very easy to put on. Just grab an iron, preferably an old one or cheap one that you'll use only for this, because sometimes the glue can get on the iron and you don't want that on your clothes when you use it the next time. I've found that using wood clamps helps keep the wood upright while you're doing this, but if you find a better way or you don't have wood clamps, then just go for it. Once you've ironed everything on, you'll need an edge band cutter, which you can also pretty much get at any big box hardware store. This is essentially a device that will cut off all the excess, leaving a nice even edge. Not perfect, mind you, because the next step is sanding, so I'll go ahead and sand everything with 220 grit. Now this is a step that you don't really have to do, but I really like to use it when I'm working with plywood, especially painting it. It doesn't really work well for staining, so this is really only for paint. This product is super easy to use. It's called Aqua Coat, and it is a white cabinet grain filler. So once you spread it, you can see exactly where it's filled. Once I'm done, I usually sand it with 220 grit, let it dry again, do it one more time, and then sand it another time. You don't have to do it twice, but I like to do it. That way it's super smooth. All right, so this is the paint that I'm using from Sherwin-Williams. It is expensive, but it's really good paint. It goes on well, finishes well. It's satin, and it is, the color is Evergreen Fog right there. There's all the information if you need that. And I'm just using this foam brush. You can pick these up anywhere, Lowe's, Home Depot. These are pretty simple and easy to apply with this type of paint. Yes, I knew I could spray this, but it's just easier to roll when you're dealing with something this small, and I don't even have to worry about getting anything else out. I'll just dip the paint roller straight into the bucket and then just roll it. And then the only thing I'm left to clean up is the foam paint roller, which makes it really easy when I'm going in and out and doing this project when I have 30 minutes here and 45 minutes there. This Evergreen Fog is actually a really cool color, and we just finished a hutch in our mudroom that I did paint this exact same color, and I'll post a video of that later. So here's all the sides painted. I did end up doing 2 coats, and this isn't dry yet, but you can also do this after you assemble it. It's totally up to you. All right, so now it's time to assemble. I took my square clamp from Kreg and then used it to hold the top and side pieces together, then just screwed in 1 1/4 inch pocket screws to hold them together. Then you'll just do this on all 4 sides, but remember, the top can sit on top of the sides, but the bottom needs to be in between the sides since the weight is pulling down on the bookshelf. Once I finished that, I just made sure that the middle column was dead middle, then I used a clamp to help me install it. Next up, I installed some shelf pin holes with this jig, also made by Kreg. I know it seems like a Kreg commercial right now, all these things I'm using from them, but it's very simple to use, and if you don't know how to use one, you can easily find a video on how to use one. They're pretty cheap and save you a lot of time. Once that was done, I took some wood filler and just filled in any gaps that I had on there. Then I sanded it and did 1 more coat of paint over any areas that I sanded. So the second to last process before I put the legs on was the shelves. So I cut them, did the exact same process over again, wood filled, sanded, and then painted twice. All right, so here are the legs to this. They are 4-inch ash hardwood legs. They came in this little kit. It actually is a cool little kit. It did come with this bit to be able to put these in. So you just drill in, insert this, screw those in, and then this screws into, the leg screws into that. So these are, I mean, they're obviously not deep, too deep, they'll come through. And so they do fit really well. And then it comes with a bit to drill a pilot hole through that for those screws right there. So it's a nice little kit. I think it was like 20 bucks, and just comes with furniture pads too for the bottom of these. So I couldn't find like walnut or something different. For some reason, this is all I could find. So if you want to, you know, change this up, you could easily, these are pre-finished, so you could just sand these off and stain them whatever you want to do. But I think I'm just going to leave these. So yeah, it's a great little kit, and I'm going to do that now.
So I did run into a little problem from this part, realizing that the pocket holes were kind of in the way of where I was putting the legs. So make sure you keep that in mind, that your pocket holes are not right in the corner. Make sure you have some sort of collar on your bit, or make sure you don't drill too far, because these legs go really close to the top of coming through the plywood. And that is it. Now the easy part is just to bring it in the house, put all the books up, and now you don't have a space that's cluttered from books being all over the floor.
All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, comment below, ask any questions. I'm glad to hear from you, even if it's a negative comment saying about how I didn't build it right or I could do it better. I'm also glad to learn or just hear from you. So until next time, see ya.